Hey second graders, it's Miss Barnett. Today we're going to keep learning about fairy tales and read another Cinderella story. Let's get started. Fairy tales are fiction. Every Cinderella story that we read this week is fiction. That means it's fake or made up. Many fairy tales begin with once upon a time. You'll have to go back and check to see if the Cinderella stories that we read have once upon a time or start with a different beginning. Fairy tales also have good characters versus evil characters. Good characters versus evil characters. That's right, good characters versus evil characters. And you may have noticed that I said that 3 times because 3 is another fairy tale feature. You may have noticed that a lot of the Cinderella stories that we've read have 3 evil characters. It might be 2 stepsisters and a stepmother, or 3 evil stepsisters. You might also notice that in the Cinderella stories that we've read, the good character has to conquer something 3 times. So for example, in the Irish Cinderlad, the boy had to defeat a bull, he had to defeat a giant, and he had to defeat a dragon. That's the number 3. The other number that occurs in many fairy tales is the number 7. You might notice that Snow White has 7 dwarves. Another fairy tale feature is that many fairy tales have magic. Not all of them, but many of them do, especially the Cinderella stories that we've read. So in this Cinderella story picture, the fairy godmother is turning this pumpkin into a carriage so that Cinderella can get to the ball. And all of these little animals are going to be turned into different animals like horses and a dog. Another fairy tale feature is that fairy tales have happy endings. The bad character usually dies or disappears. Now, this is something that's very important with fairy tales because it differentiates it from fables, where fables don't have to have a happy ending. In the Irish Cinderlad, it's a very good example of the bad character dying or disappearing. The bull, the giant, and the dragon all died or disappeared. And the evil stepsisters and the evil stepmother disappeared in all of the Cinderella stories that we've read. There are fairy tales from all over the world, and these are some of the Cinderella stories that we've read or are going to read. Today we're going to read The Rough-Faced Girl, which is a Native American Cinderella story, and it's a great book. So, why do we read fairy tales anyways? Well, all fairy tales teach a lesson. That's why we read them, because they teach us a lesson.